Hey Bat fans, Luke here, back with another video, and tonight's video originally was to take a look at all the Bat books that came out this week. Batman 32, the final installment of All-Star Batman. We had Batman the White Knight, the new one by Sean Murphy. We have Shadow and Batman, the new recurring, I guess, title now done strictly by Steve Orlando. That Dynamite focus, and then we had another Dark Knights Metal tie-in, and then we had another Dark Knights villain one-shot that came out this week. But unfortunately, my books didn't come to my house yet. They'll be here by Saturday, so kind of left a void. So I was like, all right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the trade. And originally, I wanted to do the Dark Knight 3, and I just bought the trade on that, and I got the single issues as it came out, and of course I double dip on Batman. But as I was getting ready to kind of think about how to do the video, I just thought it was maybe a little bit too early still to do Dark Knight 3, mainly because I really haven't finalized what I kind of thought about the story as a whole, because there was some good stuff to it, but there was some bad to it too. And I just kind of felt if I'm going to do that video, I'm going to just drag my heels, and it's not time yet. We'll get there at some point, but tonight just wasn't the night. So again, I kind of was like, all right, well, if we're not going to do Dark Knight 3, well, what should we do? Then it kind of dawned on me, this is one story I wanted to do for a while, and kind of like, well, Azzarello, well, he was on Dark Knight 3. What the heck? It's a godsend. It's a sign to go ahead and take a look at Batman Broken City. So I figured, yep, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and do this one next. Batman Broken City, which is written by, again, Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo. Originally, this story was in, I think, 620, so 25. Yep. Found in issues 620 through 625 of Batman. And this creative team should be no stranger to us comic book readers. Again, the story they did, and the pages of Batman. They most recently finished up a story, an Image called Moonshine, which I tried it for a couple issues, but not that it was bad. It's just at the time I kind of like trimmed back a little bit of some of the books, so not bad. We'll just say not for me at the time. And I believe this team also did 100 Bullets way back when. I believe. I could be wrong, but I think they did. Yeah. So anyway, Batman Broken City. Where is this kind of put in the Batman timeline? You can kind of put this right around circa Hush. I believe is pretty much a good time to kind of put this in there. So what happens? If you don't know Azzarello's stories, I like to think he kind of has a knack for kind of like the detective story, and we'll say, excuse me, quasi noir-ish, if you would. Kind of see it in the book he did, The Joker. It kind of had a kind of interesting, maybe detective and noir might not be kind of like the best way to describe, especially his Batman. We'll just call it street level. I think that will be kind of accurate. And he does have kind of like that style to his writing. And I'll say this one, to be honest, maybe would have felt better in the Pages detective, because it really does kind of have a detective, quasi street level kind of story to it. More of what we think in Batman, where it's kind of like the old adage. It's like, I mean, what kind of theme should be in detective? What should be a Batman? Batman kind of being the ultimate superhero, where detective comics should kind of getting Batman and detective vogue and whatnot. And I just kind of got a feel for this is like in a niche for like, in detective, but it did have going off on a tangent, but yeah, this one did have a good detective noirish type feel to it. And what we come across in the story, with the general concept is that Batman is trying to solve a murder of excuse me again. A female Angela. I know her brother's Angel, Lupo, and who was brutally murdered. And again, you don't see it in the book, but it's referenced throughout the story. And Batman is tracking down the facts as he's trying to solve this murder. And during the investigation, he comes across a whole bunch of people. You see Killer Croc is in here. Penguin shows up in here. I get two other individuals. I can't remember their name, but you can kind of see real close. That's one, and there's the other right there. And of course, you see Scarface, who has a heavy role in this story, Killer Croc, and whatnot. Batman is going through these people trying to find out what happened originally to Angela, which he initially connects that due to kind of the business that he's in, Batman initially thinks, who he kind of puts initially as the prime subject for this murder, is that Angela's brother Angel is the prime subject in the murder. And he basically what he does, he sells cars, but he does it on the black market, and they're stolen and whatnot. And so he's kind of, I don't even want to say he's kind of a scum, because he is, but he's an underground kind of, I don't want to put him on, say he's kind of like Penguin's level. I don't think that's accurate, but I take him kind of like Penguin in a way, but whereas Penguin really kind of hoards information, which you actually see this in this book. It's what he really wants, but take out information and you take basically stolen property. That's kind of what I think Angel's kind of niche is. But as Batman's conducting this investigation, there's some plot twists that goes into that. At some points you think it's Angel, and sometimes you think it's not. And the one interaction you see with initially when Batman is hunting down where he thinks Angel is at, comes across his girlfriend, which I'm gonna get to Rizzo's art in a minute, because I will say I do like the art in this story, but there's some parts to it that I was like, what? So yeah, he does come across to Angel's girlfriend, and there's a plot twist in this which I was kind of shocked, but either way, after this interaction, Batman gets kind of put off the scent a little bit, and that's how he runs into this other individual who's at the scene, which I don't think he got his name, but as Batman's trying to pull information from this guy at this other, in the slums or whatnot, as he's getting information, the guy thinks that Angel overheard him, and he's like, no, don't do that, I didn't say anything. And Batman goes to track down this other individual that was in the room at the time, and in doing so, there was a murder where two individuals, two parents were killed right in front of a young man, a young little boy. And initially, Batman sees this and automatically flashes back to obviously his experience as a young man. And so now not only is Batman looking for Angel for the murder, what he thinks of Angel's sister, but now he's holding the death of this young kid's parents to Angel, and vows that he's gonna pay for this, because obviously he's been through this before and doesn't want to do it again. And unfortunately, again, things aren't as what they seem. And again, Batman goes through Killer Croc, and Killer Croc's kind of like, I wish I had a good example. So you've seen the TV show Gotham, I'm assuming, And remember back early on in the series where when Fishma Mooney was there, it, you could just tell like she was there initially early on as kind of like just someone to kind of help the plot along a little bit. Killer Croc kind of feels like like that in this, where he's just there, he's like kind of just moving the plot along, kind of pointing Batman where he needs to go. And yeah, he's a pimp, he's hanging out at strip clubs, whatnot. Either way, but then that's where we see another twist, where it's not only maybe is it Angel. Now we're getting the possibility of Wesker and Scarface now being involved in murder. And I don't want to go too far into the story because this is one I think you should read. It's actually a pretty good story. It's not great, but it's good. But there's a lot of twist that comes after that where, again, it's... Yeah, I don't want to ruin it. But I will say this. Everything is not as easy as it seems, and who actually commits the murder of Angel, and I would say it's lost in the fact that maybe it's not the girl that was the murder of the girl Angela that was the primary focus of the story, is that it kind of morphs into someone else toward the end. And I will say Azzarello does a really good job of kind of weaving those elements throughout the story up until I'd say the last 10 pages of the trade. So basically the last half, the last issue. And that's where it kind of really takes a weird turn, and I really say unnecessary turn that really didn't help out the story that much. Certain individual shows up at the end, and sometimes when this certain individual shows up, you hear a lot of complaints that sometimes you throw them in there just to sell books or to kind of get the wow factor. And I really did when I was reading this. I was like, yeah, that was... I think bringing him in, it was just there just the wow factor, because as you're reading it initially, it's kind of like, okay, this is very interesting, but as you kind of progress again toward that last 10 pages, you're just like, there's really no meaning for why he's here or what he's claiming. In the final twist with what occurs with the young boy that saw his parents murdered, unless I really missed something, I didn't see it. And I mean, I didn't see it like, oh, I was shocked. It was like the pennies weren't adding up, man. 2 plus 2 wasn't equaling 4. It was equaling like Z or something like that. I was like, what was that? I just didn't get it. And while it was maybe thematically, when we're talking, Broken City, and if you're trying to say, Gotham is, broken, and the spirit of Gothamites are broken, and the normal is just not the normal in the city, and you're just gonna see some really messed up stuff. And if that's the point, they're kind of tie what happens to the boy. Okay, but I think that's me reaching. Again, it was kind of like, why did someone show up? Kind of like the wow factor. I thought, again, that part was a wow factor attempt, and kind of didn't stick the landing. But beside, really, again, the last 10 pages, this was a really good story. Again, you see a whole bunch of people, from Scarface to Killer Croc to Penguin, and you really do get, again, a good street-level detective story that does have some good plot twist in it, and save the last 10 pages. Rizzo's art. I like Rizzo's art. The Batman in this was just fantastic. But let's go ahead and let's get my chief complaint before I kind of go into more praising, which I kind of want to end up on a good note with Rizzo's art. Two of them, really. First off, Killer Croc. Did not really enjoy his design for Killer Croc. This Killer Croc, again, he's kind of portrayed to be kind of like a pimp. And kind of like a quasi-penguin type character. And he's not kind of like what we know as now, where this almost feels like the old school Croc. You know, kind of like, hey, I am because of a skin condition, not because I'm like part reptile type of thing. I just didn't dig it. He's just not for me. But then again, you see stuff like his Batman is just great. The other one, I'm going to go to the girl, Angel's girlfriend. And this was, it almost looks Frank Miller-ish. Where, I'm going to say where, I think Rizzo and Miller, I wish I had that Dark Knight 3 book here because I'd show you. My complaint with Frank Miller's art is mainly the faces, the eyes. They just look really foreign. And maybe not this page, but you start to see it here. It's just, the eyes just look really odd, just to say the least. But take that aside, the Batman is, save maybe a couple panels, he does a really good job. I love his Batman design. I wish there's this one. I'm going to see right when the child's murder happens. Yeah, that's it right there. I mean, that is just awesome. An awesome Batman. Again, there's those freaky eyes and faces. His Batman's great. And I like how Rizzo can blend sometimes the simple backgrounds with detailed backgrounds. I mean, I love his Gotham. But it's just weird. It's just, you'll see stuff, it's just like, man, that is a awesome Batman. But then you'll see stuff in like the same page, you just go, oh no, the crazy eyes. You see Rizzo does a lot of good panel layouts in this. I like when he goes kind of like a flashback when Bruce was there in the murder of his parents. I like how the pages were laid out in this. And I even kind of like the Penguin in this story. But again, it's just Rizzo. That'd be you see it there. It's just, I see hints of Frank Miller's face design. I just don't like it. He's torture and Scareface. Jeez, oh man. Scarface. But Rizzo's art in this is good. Save again the faces. The colors are great. It really does accentuate that detective ground street level type of story. And it is definitely nice to look. There's some stuff I don't want to just spoil, because if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it. The last 10 pages, I mean, they are what they are. But the ending, it is a rewarding ending, and it's, to be honest, if they just did the ending and they just kind of stopped it right there, this would be a much better book than what it is. I think the last 10 pages kind of drag it down a little bit. Overall, Broken City, is this a must-have? I don't believe so. I don't think it's a must-have. But at the same time, if you come across it and can get it, by all means do, because it is a good story. This is just one of those books. It's tough to say. I mean, it is a good book. It has its flaws. Again, some of the parts in here, I think Azzarello's reaching. It becomes obvious some of the stuff he does in here, and the motives behind it. But it just has some really flashes of really good stuff. So, I mean, if I had to rate, I mean, maybe if I had to rate, I'd give this a 3 out of 5. And that's going to sound harsh, mainly because just really, the last 10 pages or so, I just felt really cheated. Again, help me out. I mean, put it in the comments below. If there's something I'm just missing, other than the big, okay, I'll go, once they start going to Arkham toward the end, that's where the book just needs to stop. Just stop. But help me out. If you think I'm missing something where I should kind of connect the dots, I'll go, okay, yeah, okay, I got it. Arkham and Beyond, I just think it wasn't necessary and kind of drags down. Again, Rizzo's art was great, but some of those faces just kind of cringed a little bit. It's not perfect art, but very, very good art. So 3 out of 5. This should be somewhat available. Definitely in the dollar bins, you can get your hands on these. There's nothing that's like a key issue. Should be able to get it in singles, relatively easy. Should be able to get it everywhere. I don't think it's out of print. I don't think so. If you're in a comic shop, should be easy to get. Amazon, I'm sure you can get it. If not, this one I don't think you're gonna. Even if you go on eBay, this one won't be that expensive. Should be a readily available story. Again, good story, not a perfect story. Just this last 10 pages. Ugh. And Killer Croc, Pimp Daddy Croc. Anyway, yeah, Broken City. Get it. Don't prioritize it, but if you come across it, yeah, by all means, get it. I think you'll enjoy it. Just be warned. The ending of it is just gonna drag it down a little bit. At some point, you just gotta be like George Costanza and on a good note, call it a day. That's it for me. Well, they kind of did the reveal at the very end with the. I don't want to spoil it. Short of Arkham, they should have said, "Yep, that's my high note. I'm done." But they overstayed their welcome, and it's kind of like, oh man. So anyway. I'm rambling on. Anyway, Batman Broken City, that's that. If you read it, hit me up in the comments below. Love the bad chat with you and kind of talk about it. Again, if you got some insight, kind of explain the last part, by all means, please send it my way because I'm kind of scratching my head on it. Look forward to this week, another video. Hopefully, if I can get the stars to align, because I do want to talk about this week's back books. There are plenty to talk about. I did already read Batman 32 with Catwoman and the end of the War Jokes and Riddles, and I read Shadow and Batman. Still waiting on the other books to come in to read those and do that video and kind of go from there. So anyway, enjoy your evening, and I will see you for the next video. Take care.